Hello, everyone. My name is Renoir. You're watching Health Informer, and I created this channel because I wanted to discuss things that we don't usually see in the mainstream. Throughout this whole pandemic, we have been hearing sort of a one sided view of what is going on. And science is basically evolving every single week. New studies are coming out. And what I wanted to do with this channel, and not just on COVID, but many other different subjects, I wanted to bring to the table things that are not usually discussed in the mainstream. So, one of the things that we want to be talking about today is natural immunity versus the fully vaccinated, or those who have received a vaccine induced immunity. And throughout this whole pandemic, we have not been hearing much from the mainstream about natural immunity and its role in reaching herd immunity. Now, the question is it really important? Should we still be vaccinating the previously infected? And should it play a role in policy making and mandates in society? Now, we've known that once you are infected with a virus, your body creates a robust immune response. That includes memory T cells and B cells. Now, these cells stick around so that you can quickly respond to a new infection. In fact, a study of the blood of all the people who survived the 1918 influenza pandemic, pandemic like we are in the COVID-19 pandemic, reveals that antibodies to the strain have lasted a lifetime. So these findings were published online in 2008 in Nature. The group collected blood samples from 32 pandemic survivors aged 91 to 101. So the people recruited for this study were from the ages 2 to 12 years old in 1918. And many of those people recalled sick family members in their household, which suggests that they were directly exposed to the virus. So the group found that 100% of the subjects had serum neutralizing activity against the 1918 virus, and 94% showed serologic reactivity to the 1918 hemagglutinin. Now, the authors concluded that, in quotes, thus these studies demonstrate that survivors of the 19 influenza pandemic possess highly functional virus neutralizing antibodies to this unique virulent virus, and that humans can sustain circulating B memory cells to viruses for many decades after exposure, well into the 10th decade of life. Now, even Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, said that recent studies have projected that immunity lasts several decades. The current study provides proof, and he further stated that this is the mother of all immunologic memory here. Now, when we want to look at this data, we want to zoom into how this really works, and does this even apply to us today? Now, toward the end of each battle to stop an infection, some T cells and B cells turn into what we call memory T cells and memory B cells. And as you would expect from the names, these cells remember the virus or bacteria they just fought. So these cells live in the body for a long time, even a lifetime, as we just found out. They stay in the ready mode to quickly recognize and attack any returning viruses or bacteria. So they quickly make lots of antibodies, which can stop an infection in its tracks. So the first time your body fights a virus, it can take somewhere around 15 days to make enough antibodies to get rid of it. With the help of memory B cells, the second time your body sees the virus, it can do the same thing within about 5 days. So it also makes 100 times more antibodies than it did the first time. So the faster your body makes antibodies, the quicker the virus can be destroyed. So not only are we looking for circulating antibodies in our body when it comes to response to a virus, but we want to make sure that B cells and T cells are present, because those are your long-lasting cells, which, as we see here, it creates the antibodies when upon infection with the virus to attack that virus. However, now, would this be any different for COVID-19? Does the body, after being infected with COVID-19, produce memory T and B cells that can make antibodies that can prevent reinfection or even the severity of illness for years to come? Well, we didn't know if this applied to COVID 19 until now. So, a study looking at the immune memory of 188 COVID 19 cases for 68 months after infection showed that antibodies declined moderately over 8 months, but it showed that there was an increase in memory B cells, the ones that create these antibodies that we just looked at. So the study concluded that substantial immune memory is generated after COVID 19, involving four major types of immune memory. So about 95% of subjects retained immune memory at 6 months after infection. Also, circulating antibody titers were not predictive of this T cell memory. So even though you don't have circulating antibodies, it does not predict your memory T cells or even the B cells. So, thus, simple serologic tests for SARS CoV 2 antibodies do not reflect the richness and durability of immune memory to SARS CoV 2. So this work expands our understanding of immune memory in humans. These results have implications for protective immunity against SARS-CoV-2 and recurrent COVID-19. Now, what we want to look at as well, we want to look at this in the real world. Now, a study came out in Israel, a large study, one of the earliest countries to have a high vaccination rate that compared natural immunity to vaccine-induced immunity. Natural immunity protection developed after SARS-CoV-2 infection offers considerably more of a shield against the Delta variant of the pandemic coronavirus than 2 doses of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. So according to the study, it said that newly released data show people who once had SARS-CoV-2 infection were much less likely than never infected vaccinated people to get Delta, develop symptoms from it, or become hospitalized with serious COVID 19. They also found that those who had experienced prior infections were 27 times less likely to get a second symptomatic COVID infection than those who were vaccinated. So the differences were huge, and one of the authors commented, she cautions that the numbers for infections and other events analyzed for the comparisons was small. For instance, the higher hospitalization rate in the 32,000 person analysis were based on just 8 hospitalizations in the vaccinated group and 1 in the previously infected group. Now, just comparing those two, and even with that minute amount of people being hospitalized, this just shows the effectiveness of your natural immunity. And just by conclusion, we understand that natural immunity probably confers greater and longer lasting immunity than vaccination. Now that we know this, should we be vaccinating those with previous infection? Even a preprint study published on medRx4 titled The Necessity of COVID-19 Vaccination in Previously Infected Individuals seek to find out just that. Cumulative incidence of COVID-19 was examined among 52,238 employees in the Cleveland Clinic Health System. Now, COVID-19 did not occur in anyone over the 5 months of the study among 2,579 individuals previously infected with COVID-19, including 1,359 who did not take the vaccine. So this is amazing because these are the people who we would say are most exposed to the virus because they are constantly in contact with individuals at the hospital system. Some of them may have been dealing with COVID patients or not. But then this is amazing. Now, in the Cox proportional hazard regression model, after adjusting for the phase of the epidemic, vaccinations was associated with a significantly lower risk of SARS-CoV-2 infection among those not previously infected, but not among those previously infected. So then this here shows the difference between those who were not previously infected, showing that the vaccines did help in lowering the risk, but those with previous infection, it was statistically insignificant. So basically, the authors concluded individuals who have had SARS-CoV-2 infection are unlikely to benefit from COVID-19 vaccination, and vaccines can be safely prioritized to those who have not been infected before. Now, this is amazing for us here to understand because this has not been spoken about in the mainstream. And we also have to address that natural infection probably produces antibodies for a lifetime. So now the emerging science suggests that natural immunity is as good or better than vaccine-induced immunity. So I have a big question to ask then. What should public policy be for the previously infected? Many elected leaders and public health officials have held onto the hypothesis that natural immunity offers unreliable protection against COVID-19. This is an assertion that is being rapidly debunked by science. So there are more than 15 studies that demonstrate that the power of immunity acquired by previous infection. Many also are being mandated to take the vaccine or submit to regular testing or lose their jobs. Though I am strongly against mandates, why aren't we including natural immunity natural immune individuals in this debate? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Should we have vaccine mandates? Should we mandate or suggest that individuals with natural immunity still get the shot? Now subscribe and give a thumbs up if you find this information helpful and you want to see more videos like this. I pray that I see you next time.